Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. On this Sunday, we start with a leaked Supreme Court opinion that sent shockwaves through the nation's capital and around the country. The draft opinion reveals the nation's high court may be on the verge of overturning Roe v. Wade. Chief Justice John Roberts confirmed the opinion is authentic. Protests quickly erupted, with people on both sides of the argument rallying in cities across the country, including right here in Indianapolis. Now, if the draft becomes final, it would put abortion rights squarely in the hands of the state and federal lawmakers. News 8's Garrett Berquist lays out what top decision makers told News 8.
As at the national level, Indiana's reaction to the leak split along party lines. Republicans focused on the act of leaking a draft opinion, while Democrats focused on the substance.
The court has to speak for itself without facing intimidation. And I think, what I'm hearing from my folks is even the Supreme Court, that, we can't just let this go through the system. The radical liberal left has a pattern of throwing years of longstanding decorum out the window when their point of view is threatened. And we just saw that happen.
The impact of this decision, whenever it comes, will fall hardest on people who already suffer discriminatory obstacles to healthcare, particularly and especially Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, Latino, people with disabilities, people in rural communities, young people, undocumented people.
Democrats in Congress already are trying to pass federal legislation to protect the right to choose whether or not to get an abortion. Congressman Andre Carson says banning abortion will only drive it underground.
Overturning Roe v. Wade will only allow legislators to ban safe abortions. And that's something that we've been drilling down. These procedures can still happen, as we know, as they did before Roe, and they will undoubtedly be more dangerous, unfortunately. Women, unfortunately, will die from botched and unregulated procedures. And, this is the reality so many women who came before us faced, and that's why they worked so hard to secure abortion rights.
Republican Congressman Larry Bucshon says any legislative action right now is too soon.
I'm a pro-life person. I believe life begins at conception. So that said, I want to see the final opinion because these things change all the time. This is a draft. It's not the final opinion. We don't know what the votes will be. And so I really can't comment on a leaked document that may not be the final document and may not be the final decision. I do believe, though, that this will be relegated back to the states based on this. But, each state then will have to make their decisions like they did before Roe v. Wade.
The Republican supermajorities in the Indiana General Assembly have long favored a total or near total ban on abortions. Republican leaders in both chambers in March urged Governor Eric Holcomb to call a special session if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Senate Minority Leader Greg Taylor says that could set a dangerous precedent.
I think this is going to become the type of issue that, for a consistent basis in the next few years, rulings like this one, we could see the special session coming up just for one particular issue, which is not what the Indiana Constitution calls for. It asks us to come in at a certain period of time to make laws that are germane to the entire state and then go home and be with our constituents and listen to and talk about their issues. But it's become, again, since we have supermajority rule here in Indiana, it's going to become another way to get different laws changed without having to go through a general session.
Senator Shelley Yoder says she fears the ruling could let states, including Indiana, roll back a host of other rights.
It's not just women's rights. Roe is the foundation for many other rights that we observe. The right to marriage, the freedom to marry. That was really looked to on the Roe decision. So I think this is the beginning of an undermining of our democracy, of us being a country with privileges, of choice, and it's one that we should all be very deeply concerned about and speaking out on.
House Speaker Todd Huston was among those who called for a special session. After the leak, he issued a statement saying, "The vast majority of House Republicans, including myself, have been abundantly clear that we want to take action to further protect life should the U.S. Supreme Court overturn, in full or in part, Roe." Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray says a leak on an issue of this magnitude is certainly surprising, but if it is true that this is the direction the court is headed, it is good news and suggests Indiana will be in a position to improve our record as a strong defender of life. Governor Holcomb has not ruled out calling a special session. He says he wants to see the court's final decision before he makes any policy move.
We'll see what comes from what was leaked, the draft, to the ultimate decision. And a lot can happen between now and then. I have a hard time being the person that's part of taking of a life. And I'll review the decision that has impact on that.
Here in Indiana, only the governor can call a special session. Garrett Bergquist, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
All right, coming up, Your Vote 2022, we've got the winner of the Republican primary for the 9th Congressional District. Why Erin Houchin says she was able to beat 8 other candidates. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics on this Sunday. Let's welcome in Erin Houchin, the winner of the Republican primary for the 9th District Congressional seat. Erin, congratulations. Thank you for joining us here on the show. You beat out
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You beat out 8 other candidates, including former Representative Mike Sodrel. So in your opinion, why did you stand out?
Well, we had a strong grassroots support effort going on. We had over 150 local endorsements from people throughout the 9th District. We ran a really good ground game, and I think our message resonated certainly with voters who are looking for a candidate that has a proven record of fighting for our conservative values, something they can look to show that we have a record of success. So I think all of those things combined led to our strong victory on Tuesday.
You also campaigned as a Trump supporter. Do you think that had an impact?
Well, I was one of the only candidates to sort of embrace that, the policies of Donald Trump in my campaign, and I think that did make an impact. We had, throughout the course of the 100-day campaign that we ran over and over again, what I heard are folks that do support the America First agenda, and we certainly are that type of candidate.
Were you apprehensive about running on that platform, or was that a surefire, yes, let's do it?
I'm not apprehensive about running on that platform because I do believe our country was better under Donald Trump than we are under the Biden administration, and have supported those types of policies as a legislator.
Okay, now that the primary is over, we got that out of the way. What will be your message heading into the November general election?
Well, we're going to continue to focus on what we hear from voters throughout the district, and those issues will continue, I think, to be inflation, the rising cost of goods, groceries, and gas, becoming energy independent, securing our border, and making sure that our elections are fair and secure. And those are the things that I've heard throughout the campaign thus far. We'll, of course, continue to listen to folks as we travel around the district, but those, I think, will continue to be the issues moving forward.
And what are your plans to fix those issues? Let's go with inflation. How about that?
Sure. Inflation, we've got to get spending under control. I think Republicans and Democrats have historically both been responsible for out of control spending. So, I would look for ways to reduce that spending level and, follow the Indiana's lead in terms of balancing our budget and living within our means.
That being said, if you are elected in November, what would you say is your top priority once taking office?
Well, my top priority is going to be trying to get this economy back on track. The supply chain issues that we've had through COVID and other things are going to be top of mind. So we're going to need to encourage manufacturing and being responsible for our own supply chain. I think we're going to need to be responsible for securing our energy independence and taking back some of that those former Trump era policies that were good for America.
I want to ask you about this because it's obviously huge news. The draft opinion that leaked out in regards to Roe v. Wade. So that being said, if the opinion is correct, if everything is accurate, regardless of the way it came out, would one of your priorities be overturning Roe v. Wade here in the state of Indiana?
Well, I'm absolutely a pro-life candidate. There's no bones about that. I was a pro-life legislator. I carried one of the only bill to pass the legislative session that was a pro-life bill in 2019. So I certainly am a supporter of life. I think it's unfortunate that the draft opinion was leaked before the courts were allowed to finish their work. But I certainly believe that this decision will allow for that to be made by our state legislators, which is closest to the voters. And I think, I would certainly support that as a pro-life legislator.
What were your thoughts on the leak and the timing on that? I know it all happened on primary day here in Indiana.
I just think it's unfortunate that that was leaked before the Supreme Court was allowed to complete their work.
Yeah. Okay, heading into the summer, campaigning-wise, when does that ramp up?
Well, it ramps up now. I mean, we are continuing to be out on the campaign trail, going around to area events. But first, my daughter is graduating high school, so we're gonna have a little bit of a celebration for that and a transition here for the family. But we're all ready for a great campaign throughout the summer and fall.
Well, congratulations to her, Erin Howardson. Thank you very much for joining the show. We look forward to talking with you during the summer and as we inch closer to Election Day.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up, Indiana's best political team standing by to talk primary elections and that leaked Supreme Court draft opinion next on All Indiana Politics. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics on this Sunday as we welcome back Republican Allie Bartlett and Democrat Drew Anderson. Good to see you both. Let's start with the leaked Supreme Court draft opinion. Allie, many members of your party call this a ploy by the left to put pressure on the court. Do you agree with that?
Well, obviously, I can't make any, firm statements about what happened here, but I think there's an argument to be made there. I mean, this is an unprecedented leak. I think when they do find out where it came from, it's a prosecutable offense. And obviously, it just kind of undermines the entire foundation of our court system. It's a really scary thing that happened. And obviously, I think there's some advantage there. I think the left was going into midterm elections where they had no leg to stand on. They saw losses in their future, and this kind of gives them a platform. So I would say the timing is advantageous on that side.
Drew, I'll get to the opinion in a moment, but I just want to get your take on the leak.
I mean, from everything I'm thinking, Democrats wouldn't leak this just because we have so much respect for the institution and we have so much respect for our country and democracy.
That being said, this decision would put the abortion issue, Drew, before legislators, as you very well know, instead of the courts. Does Justice Alito have a point in doing this, in your opinion?
I mean, if this were a topic that hasn't been discussed yet in our country, then this should be up to the states. But unfortunately, fortunately for Democrats and for women, this has been precedent for 50 years. And look, at the end of the day, this is not a religious issue. This is not any sort of issue other than the fact that it is agreed upon by 83% of Hoosiers who support abortions in some form. And so rolling back on this will literally put lives at risk.
Allie, you want to respond? Because the polls do kind of fall on that side.
Yeah, I would love to respond. So the substance of this issue here, the substance of the draft opinion is not pro-life or pro-choice, first of all. And second of all, if we're saying that 83% of Hoosiers are on the side of supporting legalized abortion, then we shouldn't be at all concerned about this issue coming back to the states. I think this is an issue of whether or not the Supreme Court has had the power for the last several decades to have power over this issue and whether or not it should be returned to the people and the voters as is prescribed under the Constitution. So that's the crux of this issue. It's not pro-life or pro-choice. It's about whether or not this is a choice to be made by the people.
Drew, you want to get in here?
Again, rolling back set precedent established for 50 years. There's generations of women that have not had to worry about having to perform procedures in back alleys and putting their lives at risk. If
83% of the people in the state of Indiana are pro-abortion, then you shouldn't have to worry about it.
Finish up,
And
Drew, go ahead.
unfortunately, we live in a very gerrymandered state, Allie, as you know, where elected officials are a part of the 17% of Hoosiers that want to ban abortion in all forms. So you know the deck is already stacked against voters, and that voters are being disenfranchised.
Allie, I do think that there is.
Can outdo 83%.
I do think that there is some concern from the Democrats that if the opinion stands, that Republicans would move quickly to ban abortions here in Indiana.
Yeah, so I think that if this decision is overturned, and that's a big if, what we saw was a draft opinion, which is part of the reason it's so concerning that it was leaked at all. I think that our legislators would do what they have a duty to do, which is to listen to their constituents, and they would act on the basis of what the people would like for them to do. You know, none of us can predict what that looks like. They would do it in a way that follows the rules and the state laws. But it's going to be all a reflection of what the people of Indiana want to see happen here. And that's where this power should reside, with the people, not with an ultimate authority. This is a policy matter. So legislators here are going to listen to their constituents. I'm sure that they're going to be engaging with them. And whatever comes of this, it's going to be a reflection of what the people of Indiana want to see happen.
Let's talk about the politics with this. If the opinion stands, Drew, how will it impact the midterm elections? Will Democrats try to make it a top campaign issue, you think?
Oh, we're going to crisscross the state on this. And and I say that because it goes back to what a majority of Hoosiers support, and that is that 83% of Hoosiers support abortions in some form. Unfortunately, that's not the way our gerrymandered system is made up. And it's sad because the Republican supermajority, they're going to have blood on their hands, because literally this is going to affect so many lives, and a lot of Hoosier women's lives are going to be put at risk because of their political partisan decision.
Well, all I can say as a Hoosier woman is that you should have every right to campaign on that issue and express your opinions. It should be a decision for all of us to make as the people. So I think you're proving my point.
Is that a losing issue,
And I will also
though?
say that it's not the politician's business to be in the same room as a doctor and a woman, and that needs to stop.
That's fine. You should express that opinion. It should be decided by people like you and me.
So that being said, Allie, is it a losing campaign moment for Republicans?
No, I don't think it is at all. I think this is an issue that should be discussed. It's something that is a passionate, emotional issue for a lot of people. It's a serious issue, and that's exactly why this is something to be debated by the people in the legislature, a forum where people can come to testify, present their stories and their positions and all of their emotions, and let our elected representatives and not appointed justices continue to oversee this matter. Everything you're all saying is correct, and everyone has the right to their opinion. So let's debate the issue.
Okay, we'll see what happens with that. I want to move to the primary elections, if you don't mind, quickly, because I have about a minute left. So, Drew, what was your take looking back on the past week? And specifically, does Democrat Frank Mervane, does he just, or Mervan rather, your thoughts on that district?
I mean, Frank Mervan has delivered for Northwest Indiana and for Hoosier families. He delivered for the steel industry. He delivered for Hoosier workers. He has fully funded education and expanded broadband. He's delivering those kitchen table issues, and he's going to win re-election because of it.
Allie, Jennifer Ruth Green, she seems like a pretty popular candidate. I've seen her on some national shows as well lately. Your thoughts?
I am so excited to have Jennifer Ruth Green as a candidate in CD1. Obviously, she's got to overcome a tough Chicago media market out there, but I think all she has to do is go out and connect with voters and share her story and really just ask voters, do you want the status quo for Northwest Indiana? Because that's what unfortunately Representative Mervan represents, is the status quo. He has been there for a long time and nothing's changing. She has the experience and the ability to go in there and make real change, and I think she is going to be a fantastic candidate. I can't wait to see what's next.
We'll leave it there. Guys, good conversation. Good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll be right back.
Take all Indiana politics on the go with you. Download our podcast now. Part of the All Indiana Podcast Network and allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
Well, thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics on this Sunday. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. You can also find our brand new All Indiana Politics podcast. It's part of the All Indiana Podcast Network at wishtv.com. Have a great rest of your weekend.